This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in downtown Denver. I'm here at Antonoff and Company and Brokerage. Since 1962, this respected pioneer in commercial real estate has provided a team of seasoned veterans that has served Denver's real estate community for more than a half a century. I'm joined by Jeffrey Hirschfield, who is the partner as well as the vice president of the brokerage. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
Sure.
I'd like to start off a little bit about yourself. You were formally educated at the Colorado College. You received a master's at Vanderbilt College. Your real estate experience really goes back to the early 90s. You have served a community of Denver as a board member for the Denver Art Museum and other organizations. You have overseen manufacturing and international trade in your own company, but really for the entirety of your professional life, you have served the public with Antonoff and Company. Can you share with us a little bit how that journey began for the both of you?
Well, it's a little bit unorthodox since I have a doctorate in psychology, and I was a nanny for a very well-respected developer in Nashville, Tennessee, who was good friends with Sam Walton from Walmart. And after taking care of his twins, I one day said, I've always been interested in real estate. Give me a job in your company. So that's how I got started.
That is unorthodox.
Unorthodox. And so I have a unique skill set with a doctorate in psychology. And I often have to use that when I, do deals.
I believe that's valuable anytime you're dealing with people in general, but even more so when we're talking about large transactions. When this company began 60 years ago, the population of Denver had not even hit 1 million. We now see Denver as one of the fastest growing cities, not only in population, but for entrepreneurs and business. Why do you think that is?
As a Denver native, I would tell you that Colorado is a beautiful place to be. Having the mountains as an amenity is just something that a lot of places can't duplicate. It just has a beautiful outdoor, environment, a mecca of sunshine. And I think people just are happier here.
Do you think businesses gravitate here as well because they almost feel that energy?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they want their employees to be happy, and if employees enjoy being outdoors and they like, what Colorado has to offer, then, they want to be here and do business here.
Interesting. As Denver grew, this organization can truly say they helped them grow. I mean, with projects like neighborhood shopping centers, manufactured housing, and build to suits for many of the national tenants. To be trusted by clients of this caliber, how important is professionalism as well as integrity throughout the day?
It's extremely important. I think that trust is a huge part of what we do. We handle the livelihoods of whether it's a tenant, helping them with something that they, is important to their just livelihood. And so they need to trust that you're out with their best interests in mind. And then you're handling, so you could handle a 1,200 square foot Subway and a franchisee who has, that location, all the way up to, somebody who owns tons of shopping centers. And, you're handling a lot of their livelihood just, on a larger scale. So no matter what point you are in your career or
trust, like you say, regardless of the size of transaction, but we're talking about millions of dollars at the table, your experience comes into play. You provide a knowledgeable team of experts. Are many on that team also property owners? So therefore they can understand how to bring value to the real estate transaction for the investor.
Absolutely. The Antonoff family has owned lots of real estate, and the brokers that we have on staff also own real estate, and have handled all sides of a transaction, whether it be a buyer or seller. We even have some that have been tenants who've owned retail establishments.
I mean, not only the buying and selling for the public that your company has provided, but really you've undertaken projects for your own organization. Can you explain a little bit the Antonoff and Company versus Antonoff and Company brokerage, a little history of how that evolved?
Antonoff and Company, of course, was started by Gary Antonoff, and I'm in business with his son, Douglas Antonoff, and they're separated because the Antonoff family, does real estate on their own behalf and for the family itself. Antonoff and Company brokerage was started by Doug Antonoff and myself to really broker all sides of deals throughout Colorado primarily. Um, and so we have,
It was an
people,
easy shoot off, I see, from
it
how
was
what
an
was
easy
already
shoot off.
built under there. You're doing it for yourselves.
Mm,
Now you're able to go out and do it for the entire public.
third parties.
Ground up property developments to historic property developments. You have a rich history of some very notable projects. I mean, even the building that we're in right now, which serves as the headquarters, is it exciting to be part of the Denver historic landscape and keep adding to that as well as preserving it?
Sure. Anytime customers come into our building, they're a little bit in awe. It's wonderful that this part of downtown has been preserved, and we're natives, so we've been down here when we were scared for our life,
Yeah.
and today it's just a wonderful place to be amongst all these historical properties.
For any development project as well as build to suit projects, are the business relationships with contractors and other professionals throughout the years vital to the ongoing success, would you say, of the brokerage?
Absolutely. You can't make a deal, no matter what side of the transaction you're on, without having a team,
Yeah.
whether it be contractors or attorneys. Everybody's part of that project to make it happen. So it's important that you have the knowledge of where to go to get those answers and get that expertise. Architects, engineers, everybody's part of the team, whether it's leasing a space and you have to have people do the interior build out, or if you're developing a project, you need architects and contractors to give you pricing and obviously help you build the project.
No one's an island. Basically, it's a
No one
team
is an island.
effort across the board. Let me ask you this. You're a full service brokerage, but your expertise is in commercial sales, from investment acquisition, sales, as well as advising services for the buyer and the seller. Are there many additional considerations when it comes to income producing property versus, let's say, that of a simple residential transaction?
Um, the commercial project, um, there's certainly a lot of things, again, back to what I just said.
Yeah.
You have to have knowledge, both of the who's going to be in the project, what the project's going to look like, the construction of the project, if it's um, an expensive, inexpensive, depending on the type of build, where it is, traffic counts, all aspects of the business that are important to understand whether a property or a tenant is going to be successful.
I mean, your team is skilled in every facet of retail business, regardless if it's tenant or landlord representation. You're able to really do both.
Yes. And it's important to do both, because if you're only on one side of the transaction, you don't know typically what might happen on the other side of the transaction. So if you're always representing landlords and you're not representing tenants, you only see it through the eyes of the landlord. So it's important to do both sides, so you get a feel for what one side is giving or not giving, etc.
Obviously, your knowledge is on both sides, so it becomes a situation where you learn from
Mm-hmm.
each client as to how represent on the other side. From raw, unapproved land to finished commercial pads, you have decades of experience bringing really to the transaction table. Have you become really kind of a one-stop shop in the commercial real estate, everything under one roof?
Um, One-stop shop in that we know where to go to get answers, or we know where to go to get the team to make that project happen. It used to be that you could do, when Gary Antonoff started the the joke was that he could make, well, not really a joke, but he could make it happen within a year from the time he found a piece of ground, shook hands with the retailer, which, you know, in the early days was Albertsons for him. So
Yeah.
he built a lot of Albertsons anchored shopping centers. That entire process from the ground to the time they opened took a year. Now it takes, you know, potentially 3 to 4 years to get a deal. But having again that knowledge of the team and where to go, you know, we don't today. We're not actively developing. We do some development, but you know, we're not active like when Gary Antonoff started the company.
So basically, you have the resources all under one roof, basically a resource hub, if you will, to be able to pull in these other teams
Right.
and do what's necessary. Based on your unorthodox starting in real estate, your expertise when it comes to education and psychology, do you feel that is kind of an edge that you provide for people, or you're able to relate to both sides of the table?
Absolutely. It didn't dawn on me that that was something that might help me down the road. I didn't get a doctorate thinking that I was going to do investment sales. But I'm often called on to help families in estates that don't necessarily get along. And so I'm not only helping them to decide on the real estate transaction, but I'm helping them understand why they should cooperate as a family, and maybe they should get along a little better until the transaction happens, and then they can go their own ways if necessary.
Very unique. You'd almost say real estate mediator, if you will,
Yeah.
kind of somebody in the middle, make sure it's happening. You have built a reputation for integrity, tenacity, and a high level of personal attention. Regardless of the type of transaction, is it still rewarding? I mean, literally helping grow Denver.
Absolutely. I mean, again, as natives, we love Colorado, and we, you know, the, the adage that, you know, in time, nothing stays still, and there's always change. Couldn't be further from. I mean, is definitely true. Um, and so there's always a new opportunity in what we do, and there's always an opportunity to help guide the growth of Denver.
Excellent. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen. What you're going to see is their website. On the website, you can learn more about this pioneer in real estate, from owning projects that they built for themselves to managing the transactions for others. They have a reputation that has stood the test of time, from five-star reviews online to an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau. Once again, that is Antonoff and Company, the respected pioneer in commercial real estate, providing a team of seasoned veterans that has served Denver's real estate community for more than a half a century. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.